UK-based journalist Samira Ahmed. We've been seeing horrific pictures and we've all been very frightened for the people of Syria, what's happening there. But now suddenly it feels like us being involved, the British people being involved, and we're not necessarily sure whether we want this, are we?
Absolutely not. As Sue said, the polling suggests very strongly opposed, but also people feel they've seen this before. You know, Iraq, where of course there weren't weapons of mass destruction, but what happened after? Afghanistan, where we're still in the process of pulling out with what to show for it. Our military is actually quite small. And even Egypt, which had what seemed a popular revolution, the state it's in now, there's real concern if there was a time to intervene. Maybe it should have been a year ago, before the opposition became dominated by various kind of Islamist groupings and Al-Qaeda.
So yes, I think there will be a lot of debate, but then on the other hand, you don't want to sit by and see people die in their hundreds of thousands now. Well, talking of thousands dying, a disturbing story and a headline that's saying thousands are dying needlessly in the NHS for want of water.
Well, this comes in, you know, following on from many stories we get in the papers all the time about patients reduced to drinking water from vases. NICE, NHS watchdog, says 42,000 deaths a year could be prevented if staff were on the lookout for the symptoms of acute kidney injury, which is to do with dehydration. Not always because patients have been neglected in hospital. If they're given certain drugs, certain painkillers, that can increase their risk of it. But apparently, you know, mainly frail and elderly people who we know are more vulnerable. And a fifth of all A&E admissions apparently are linked to this, and it kills more than all the common cancers.
Yes, it's absolutely frightening. You think it'd be something that you could tackle more straightforwardly.
The idea that you have to issue guidelines on giving people water does seem perverse, but
it's not always easy to spot dehydration, though, is it? Especially in the elderly. Well, Jamie Oliver is in the news again. This is going to make a lot of people... Well, some people might absolutely agree. Others will be horrified at this, won't they?
Yeah, Jamie Oliver always sort of says things as he sees them, and he's basically said that he feels, you know, British workers on the whole are not as sort of hard-working. He talks about immigrants being much stronger, much tougher. He says a lot of, you know, younger people kind of whinge. He talks about, because he employs 4,500 people, and famously with his 15 restaurants gave a lot of jobs to kind of young unemployed people. And while he praises a lot of them, he says we need the immigrants, we rely on them. He talks about parents of 23-year-olds ringing up to say my son's not feeling very well. And he says in his day, when he started out, and of course he, you know, he began as a teenager, he worked 80 to 100 hours a week. Now under EU rules, the working week is 46. And he says too many Brits still can't deal with it. And working those long shifts in kitchens, they find it too tough.
Well, it'll get people talking. Now, this is something we've been talking about for a while, the effect of television and video games on children. Now, apparent evidence that it makes children depressed.
This is a variant, isn't it? We know all the concerns about obesity, but Public Health England, so a government body, has done research saying there's a link between children watching lots of television, sitting passively, playing computer games, and anxiety, depression. They're lacking vitamin D because they're not out, which affects their health, and also lacking certain hormones like melatonin, which helps you sleep. So it is about more than just kind of getting obese.
I wonder if
about
it's
your
a
whole
vicious cycle, though, that if you are feeling anxious or depressed as a child, you will perhaps retreat to playing video games on your own and watching TV on your own.
Or if you feel self-conscious about your appearance, you might want to say in. But I think a lot of it is also about habits of lifestyle. Parents do it too. It is, you know, it's a big problem throughout the country. But the idea that your whole outlook on life can be affected. And the first thing they say if you have any kind of depression or anxiety is get out, get some sunshine.
Get daylight, even if it isn't hot sunshine.
Get some exercise.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, this is a comfort to me. Midlife apparently begins at 53.
I know, they keep
laughing, aren't we?
I know.
Laughing. We've got a way to go before old age.
Well, I was discussing this with friends the other day because I'm in my 40s, and I think if you look back at films from the 50s and 60s, around 50 looked about 80 would today. You know, much, much worse kind of condition. People expected to age. Whereas I think of people like the papers talk about sort of Nigella Lawson, Lorraine indeed, people like Kim Cattrall, I think of, who I saw an interview where she said, you know, you basically make a choice about whether you're going to take care of yourself and be healthy for as long as you can, or you're going to have all those issues like arthritis and other lifestyle conditions in your 60s and 70s.
It does, though, give you some hints as well as to what makes you feel old age. One of them is going, ugh, when you sit down. Apparently that means you're middle-aged. I do that all the time. I groan when I get up and sit down. So maybe the age doesn't matter, it's all the mental middle age. Now, the Bublé baby has finally arrived. Oh, Michael Bublé's had his little baby, and his wife looking unbelievably gorgeous.
I reckon that photo's been tweaked a bit. That's what you can do. Yeah, it's looking at where it's been posted as well.
I'd like to think it was, because who looks like that after giving
birth?
Well,
I certainly didn't. And I think what I love about this is that, of course, you can just quickly adjust the photo, put it up. Anyone who wasn't there, 57 minutes apparently is the new sort of number of... That's how long it takes before
Does it?
the average person puts up a photo of their new baby.
Oh, my
And it means everyone
goodness.
can share it. And I just think it's great.
It's really great. Oh, congratulations. Noah, his name is
Beautiful
as well.
hair.
Very sweet. And lots of hair, yeah, very good. Right, well, let's ask you your opinions now. Do you think watching too much TV makes your children depressed? Do you limit how much they watch and by how? And how are you showing signs of middle age? Do you dislike noisy pubs? And do you groan when you stand up like me? Well, you can message us on Facebook. You can also tell us what you think on Twitter. If you're over 18, you can text us on 67890. It'll cost 25 pence plus your standard network charge. Thanks very much indeed.
Pleasure.
What have people been saying then, Samira?
Interesting, this one. Lee Davis says, my children prefer to play outdoors than to sit in front of the TV, but if they wanted to play on their console, it would be no more than an hour a day.
Ah, so they do limit it. Emma Hutchins, yes, I do limit it. My kids don't have a computer. They do, however, have a tablet type thing for reading, which is limited. But I watched TV all the time as a kid, and I will have never once had depression. So I guess it's within the right context. Very quickly, middle age now officially starts at 53, we're told. But some of you saying you feel a lot older, a lot younger.
Yeah, Emma Whaler, I'm making statements my mum makes, such as, we never did that when I was young. Rachel Clay, I'm 43 and like nothing more than spending Saturday night on the sofa, bottle of wine, snacks and TV, with or without the boyfriend who is 53.
And Rachel Johnson's 22 says, I hate noisy pubs, so maybe it's all in your mind. Now, on tomorrow's show, I'll be talking to Denise Welsh and her husband ahead of this weekend's dance show, Stepping Out. Also, X Factor's Marcus Collins. Have a lovely day.